Hello everybody, welcome back to Hidden Harvest with Liz. My name is Liz and today we're going to be doing a quick garden tour. I had hoped on doing a full garden tour. I'm hoping to get to everything, but we've got some pretty high winds right now, so I don't know how the audio is going to sound, but I'm going to try and run through everything that has happened. I have already planted in. Now not everything is planted in. There are some squashes, summer squash, winter squash, some beans and stuff like that that I haven't quite started just yet. But I wanted to go ahead and show what we've got so far. So let's go ahead and get to the garden, and I will also show you the upgrades that we did to our chicken coop. First off, our chicken coop. This is our blackberries and our raspberries. And this is how I usually get into the chicken coop right here. We have actually expanded the chicken coop out to this area so they have a little bit of fresh grazing. I guess chickens don't actually graze. Scratch, whatever you want to call that. They have a bit of extra room. Now, we did not put a top over this section because their entire area over here is covered. And we've also created a new area for our younger chickens, and I'll show you that. Is that good? Yeah. All right, in here we have got like a little enclosure for the chickens. This is for whenever they reach pullet size. They're a little too big to be inside the brooder. Not sure if you guys can actually see them right now. They're in there and they can come out. There you guys go. You just had to get curious about something. Oh, now we got some other folks that are curious. Cheeky, cheeky. So this is a good area for them to actually grow into teenagehood. It's inside of the chicken coop. So I still have to kind of keep an eye on them because they are directly face to face with the other chickens. There's just like this little wire in between them. But hopefully this will allow them the chance to experience being outside. It will allow them to experience being outside, and it will also allow them to experience being next to the other chickens. Let me see if I can get you guys set down somewhere. Let me straighten this up because it makes me feel like I'm not actually straight. So we decided that it would be a good idea to create an area for our teenage chickens. No ma'am. No, get away from here. Go on. Okay. So anyway, an area was created for our teenage chickens. The brooder was getting a little too small. Plus, we needed an area where they could integrate with the existing flock as early as possible, but to make sure that they are fully safe. So it's got an enclosed area. Let me see if I can actually pop the top and you guys can take a look inside. Anyway, that's the interior. It's just like a little area for them to sit up and a place for their food and water, and a place for them to come outside to join the other chickens and get to know each other, establish some of the pecking order and things like that, and introduce them to the rooster, so the rooster will eventually get to where he's protecting them like he's protecting the others, and to allow the chicks to get used to the fact that they are not the only ones in existence, because right now they think they are. So let's actually get to the garden tour. For those of you who do not know, I am growing in Middle Georgia, Zone 8B. No, I got a stick in the way. Now that I have pulled all of the chickens out, I decided to plant out on the 13th a lot of my plants. I do have a few of them that haven't quite gone in, and there's a few things that I'm not quite sure about. Oh, I need to water those. They're looking piddly. But there's a few plants that I'm unsure about because if you remember whenever I was talking about it earlier in the season, I had a bit of an issue with some of my crops not actually sprouting at all this year. And I think one of the biggest problems that I was not accounting for was the reuse of the soil means that I actually don't know what eventually sprouted. I've got things in there that are cosplaying as bell peppers and jalapeno peppers that are obviously tomatoes. And I'm pretty sure, not 100% sure, but pretty sure the eggplant is also just a tomato. So I don't know what I'm going to do with those. I can't give them to anybody because I'd be like giving them a problem. I don't know what it is. It could be an indeterminate, it could be a determinate, it could be a cherry. I have no idea what type of tomato it is. So I have no idea what I'm going to do with all of those tomatoes. And I'm thinking about just sticking them in the ground in random places just to see what happens. Because as I was told by another gardener, if you don't plant it, there's no chance for anything, but I don't know that I want to give them to somebody else and then have that be a problem for them. Okay, in bed number 1, typically whenever I do my garden, these driver side areas, this driveway side bed area, these are more a perennial patch. This area over here is the bulk of my garden with perennial spaces over there. And in this front bed, which I call bed number 1 through 5, 6 through 10, and then 11 and 12 over there with the chicken pen off to the side. In my first bed, I've actually got garlic, several different types. They will be coming out probably at the end of May. And I have got elephant garlic, Californian softneck, which I've never tried growing a softneck version. We're going to see how it turns out. Then I have got, what is this? Utama, Ryan oak, Chestnut oak. It's basically the kind that I got last time. Now this is the kind that I got last time, but down here is the exact same kind. This is leftover stock of my own that I wasn't sure how it would do, so I went ahead and got some more because I liked it, planted some of my own, and then got 2 different types. I think I'm going to make a permanent space for elephant garlic. And the reason I say that is because whenever you pull out elephant garlic, it leaves behind little crumbs or what do you call them? I've already forgotten what you call them. But it's like little pieces that are like little seeds. They're first year garlics that will come up from that. And they'll leave those in the bed, so there's a possibility this stuff will grow here again. And I'm thinking what I want to do is actually create a space where they're permanently there. That way whenever I pull the big ones, the next ones come in all by themselves. Because elephant garlic is quite huge and I don't need a whole lot of it. So maybe just having a small permanent area for these guys to go would be a better idea. Or maybe even a permanent garlic spot, because if you just leave a couple of the crowns in the ground, as soon as they sprout up, you dig them up, break them apart, and separate them, they should be fine. At least that's what I'm thinking. And it would be better than taking up an additional spot in the bed, but I haven't quite figured that part out yet. Now, let's keep going. Over here at the side of this bed, for the trellis, I have got Malabar spinach. I have got 2 tomatoes, number 6, which is its partner. I have got more tomatoes, and I've got my red onions. These are a Creole red onion. And then I have got black cherry tomatoes, which is what's on this entire trellis, is black cherry all the way across here and over there. Except for that one in the far corner, that's a volunteer. And I have another volunteer. I have no idea if I'm going to leave that there or move it, but I've left it there for now. Onions don't like competition, so this needs to be moved or I need to accommodate for it. I'm not sure which I'm going to do. Right this second is I'll probably move it. But these are the black cherries and Malabar spinach. This is my mint. It's actually looking great and I need to go ahead and get a harvest from it. It smells really, really good. It's very strong. Behind bed number 1 and 6, we have 2 and 7. 2 and 7. In this particular bed is all of my hot peppers. And I put this in the bed because when I was talking about it before, one of the biggest issues with planting out when I did is part of my beds are actually covered by a bunch of trees early in the morning and it takes a long time to warm up. This bed was specifically chosen because it warms up, one of the fastest warming up beds. That and the next one, the one right behind it, is one of my biggest warming beds, and I have a feeling I'm probably going to put like either a winter squash or a summer squash or something like that into those beds. I haven't quite figured out, and I'll tell you why I haven't figured out what 2 of the beds are going to have right now. I already know what's going to go into these beds and in my onion beds whenever they get free, but I haven't decided what's going specifically into each bed. I know what I want, but what goes into each bed is different. Let's move on. Okay, starting trellis side on bed number 2, we have some Tormando. I'm not even sure if I'm saying that right. Tormando, maybe. Hybrid, which is a huge slicer, and it's an indeterminate. I've got 2 of them. I'm not quite sure if I wanted to plant a third one back here. I think these two would compete, and these are the Romas. Along the back of each one of my beds, I planted Romas, either 3 to 4 Romas, except for this bed back here, which is a super paste tomato. We're going to give that one a try this year. I'll get back to that one. But the point is on the back side of each one of these beds, it's all Romas. And I got the tomandos. And here I've got a ghost pepper. That's more of these types of tomatoes. I haven't decided if I want to put another one there. That's the reason that's sitting there. Ghost pepper. I've got serrano peppers. I've got 3 serranos down the center of the bed. Another ghost pepper. These are, this is a cayenne. That's a cayenne. And this is a leftover jalapeno from last year. And this over here is a pepper from last year. That's the Hungarian wax pepper. If you watched any of those videos, that pepper did so well. It was ridiculous and quite spicy. And then I've got a basil right here in the corner. And like I said, Romas. Now these tomandos will grow up over the trellis and meet up with these, which are Everglades. And I did the same thing here. I left that side open. I might still wind up planting something there. I haven't figured out whether or not I want to do that or if I just want to leave 2. So I've got Everglades, my Romas along the back. Then I have got, I'm thinking that's a hyssop because that's what was planted here last year. Now I did move it, but it seems like it came back. I'm not sure what this is. I think it's a flower. I have left it. I might be growing a weed. I don't know. I've got borage here, my snapdragons, and then I've got my first round of cucumbers. One is a Space Master, and the other one is a Merlin hybrid that doesn't seed. It doesn't have seeds. It only produces female offspring or whatever. However you parthenocarpic. Pardon, cheekies. Parthenocarpics, and then Space Savers on this end. So this one might take over this entire thing, and these should like help fill in this area and cover the soil. And then below the snapdragon, I've also got some basil. I haven't actually tried growing this kind of basil. You guys tell me what you think about this, the dark basils. I haven't tried it. And inside both of these are exactly the same planting. These are a mixture of lettuce and radishes and stuff like that. And this is actually for the chickens. So as soon as they get big enough, I'll push them up against the wall over there and allow the chickens to feed on it. In number 3, I have got, I'm not sure what kind of flower this is, but I'm pretty sure it's also the same flower that's growing in the other bed that I'm not sure what it is. I have no idea, but it's starting to produce the flower and we will find out what it is. But it's left over from last year, and I think it's a perennial, but I'm not 100% sure. We've got our dark basil, and then of course I've got my Romas along the back. This is a bed that I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be planting into it because I have a couple of different options. A couple of the different options that I'm considering in a couple of these beds is I need to plant in my squashes. I got to figure out which bed is going to be best for that one. I have got to plant in another round of cucumbers because I want a lot of cucumbers to make my own pickles this year. Mainly relish. I can deal without not having pickles, but I have to have my relish. And then I want a bed with a winter squash, and I want to grow a couple of different types throughout the season to test a few different varieties. So I'm trying to figure out exactly where I want to grow those. And I want them separated enough to where I can get a few of the plants, a few of the squash to come off of the plant, true to seed, basically. I want to be able to take those seeds and save them for the next year in case we like it. So I want to be able to do a couple of different rounds of that to figure out which ones we want to do. And I need to do beans, black-eyed peas, which I think I'm going to do those back there, but I'm not 100% sure because that bed is covered by shade up until almost 12 o'clock. From what I've noticed at this particular point, because the way the sun travels, it's basically shaded until 12 o'clock. And because they grow so fast, I could probably do 2 rounds of them. So I don't know which way I want to do that. That's the reason why the beds are still open. Plus, I also need some more bell peppers. So that's a couple of problems I'm having. Let's continue on. All right, in this bed, I have got 4 Romas. I've got my dark basil, and along here, and along over here, I've got my not my Dr. Witchies, my Mr. Stripey tomatoes. These are the ones that I got and split. See, they actually survived and they are thriving. So I've got this yellow indeterminate slicer, and then I have got on the other side is the sun sugar, which is an indeterminate cherry yellow, and it's planted in 2 places here. Now that one I'm a little bit concerned about because it only gets a little bit of sun, but as long as it can keep up, these shouldn't get too much bigger. As long as that one can stretch up and get up into the trellis, it should be fine. Plus, these will come out May and June. These should come out. They're actually looking great. These are my petitos. I may have given them too much nitrogen. They are looking crazy. Now, all of these are just your basic russets. We have a flower. Over here are the organic ones that I planted, and they are actually looking very well and are already flowering. If you can believe that, that's kind of crazy. So these guys are already flowering. These I haven't seen any buds coming up, which means these are already starting to put on fruit as far as I know. And of course, I already talked about this one earlier. And over here, I have got a parsley that looks like it's probably going to flower. At least I assume these guys flower. Could be interesting. I like it. And I have a celery. And then I have, okay, these are Romas. The bed back behind it, these are the super sauce, so we'll check to see how these guys do and whether or not they're actually worth it. The seeds were very, very expensive. I have a basil. I have a poblano that survived from last year. I have a couple of tomatoes. These guys are the pinks that I had last year that did very, very well. I got 2 of them. And then over this trellis, we have got our absolutely gorgeous. Sadly, I think I'm going to have to trim them down a little bit, which will actually cause them to bloom more, so it's absolutely okay. But these are gorgeous blossoms. I do have another one over there. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a little bit more on the purple side, a little bit more. These are a bit more on the orange, and I've got one that's over there. It's a bit more on the purpley side too. All right, over here is my bell peppers. Now, like I said, there was an issue I had with my peppers. I thought I had plenty of bell peppers, but I do not. Those guys are suspect because they all look like tomatoes. So the only ones I've actually got are the ones that I either overwintered or the ones that I bought. So I guess I'm glad I got these. I got my sweet banana pepper, which to me that's actually a little bit spicy, but I put it over here anyway. Cubanella, the orange sweet bell pepper, a lunchbox orange, my bell pepper that I overwintered, the natapeño, which basically tastes like a bell pepper. And then I've got my mini bells. And along the back, we've got Romas. And then over here, I've actually planted in the Cherokee purples. I have never grown this kind, but I've heard really good things about these, so we'll find out. I've got 2 more that I would love to find a home for because I really want to try these. And I want them to produce a lot. I know a lot of the organic types, they have a hard time with pest pressure and everything, so I want to get as many as possible before they succumb to the summertime. We have our sweet onion. So far, everything looks okay. I don't see anything going weird with them, like I don't see any of them trying to blossom up. They are still kind of small. And I have a leftover bean here, peas, snap peas. They are putting on a lot of fruit. And right now I'm actually letting some of these go to seed. So hopefully I can save my own for next year. We'll see whether or not that happens or if I lose my patience because I actually need this trellis to put my beans. And I have a Chinese long bean that is going to go here. And then over here I have my roselles planted in. And I think this is the bed where I'm going to put my black-eyed peas, but I'm not 100% because this stays shaded a lot, which may or may not be good. I don't know. And then I have a pink brandywine. So this is different than the other pinks that I have. This one, I don't know if I like it or not, so I've got one in. And then I've got a black prince here, which, you know, I've got the Cherokee. And then I've got this one, so we'll see which one we like more. Over here, I have got Everglades, and as you can see, these guys immediately started putting on blooms after I put them in the ground. It's been 2 days, and all 3 of these have blooms on them. It is crazy. And that guy needs to be staked up. I don't know if these guys are usually staked up, the roselles, but it looks like they're going to start leaning because of the shade over here, so I may need to stake them. at least for the beginning part of the year. And then on the other side of this trellis, so this trellis and the last trellis, which I didn't do right, my bad. You know what, let's finish this. Onions, roselle, and then over here, because this is bed number 12, I have 4 celeries that are left over from last year, a fall planting. I'm actually getting a bit of stalks on here. I think the problem was I wasn't watering them often enough, or enough water, period. But it looks like they might wind up blossoming. I'm not sure whether or not they're going to bolt or not. But either way, I will take the stalks and cut them up and use them for soups. And then I've got butterfly weed, I've got char, and I've got what's left of all of our kale. I just basically transplanted them all over here because this is the shadiest part inside the whole garden. And if I want them to survive the summer, they're going to have to go over here. And then I've got my artichoke. The only one that survived, we'll see if it does anything, but I know it won't survive in other beds, so it stayed here. And then another snapdragon. And if I go over here to bed 11, so if you'll remember, I have my romas, the parsley, the celery, then over here I've got my bell pepper bed with some more romas along the back. And then over here, I have got a couple of different plantings in different successions of radishes, which I have already gotten a few of them. I have one bed that has arugula in it, but as soon as it started getting of decent size to start harvesting, immediately it started flowering, so I don't think that they're going to work here. And then I'm pretty sure this is chicory, and then my lemon basil, my lemon balm. Huge leaves this year, by the way. And what I did is I had these guys kind of focused right here last year. So I just dug them all up, moved them here, and gave them a little bit of extra space and some haircut. And as far as I'm concerned, they can take over this entire bed. I love this stuff. This is like the best tea. Very best tea. I'm being watched. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for April's garden tour. I think I will probably do these every other week as we move into the gardening season. As we move into the gardening season, I will likely be doing tours every other week because there's a lot that goes on and a lot of changes that happened in the course of 1 month. So I will see you guys in our next episode, and I will be putting out more how-tos. My next episode, I'm actually going to show planting out a few extra items. I will see you guys then. You have a wonderful day, a wonderful night, and I know he was going to do that. You stay shiny. Bye!